In the last tutorial I did, I showed you how to solve quadratic equations by factoring. In this video right here, I'm going to show you how to solve quadratic equations by using the quadratic equation. So what's the quadratic equation, the quadratic formula? The quadratic formula goes as following. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. And that's over 2a. And the reason why I got the plus and minus right here, as you see here, is because there's two possible solutions for x, because it's a quadratic. As we can recall, a quadratic formula has an x squared as the leading coefficient. Also, another thing you want to note out is you can think it like this graphically. So a quadratic equation, x squared function looks like this. It opens up like a parabola u. So that's what it looks like. It reflects upon the y-axis, just like that. So that's a couple of things I want to show you. That's what quadratic equations are. And the reason it also corresponds to the x function. So x squared is equal to y, or f of x. Because it reflects over the y-axis. That's why it's x squared, and that's the way it is. And there's two solutions, so don't forget that. You might want to write down this formula right here. Number 1. Use the quadratic formula to solve this equation. X squared plus 5x plus 6. Alright, so what's the quadratic formula? I'm going to rewrite that out here. So the quadratic formula, as you recall, is x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Alright, so we're a, b, and c in this example. Or, well, it turns out that a is going to be the x term, x squared. B is going to be the 5x, and then c is going to be the constant, which is just 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug that into the formula. I'm going to apply it to here. So negative b, which is going to be negative 5 because it's positive 5. So we're going to distribute the negative sign. And it's going to be plus or minus. And it's going to be the square root of positive 5. Now, it's positive 5 and the square root because it's b squared. So it's going to be 5 squared minus. And it's going to be 4, which is x, or 1. Because there's a 1 in front of the x squared. Times 6, which is c. Alright, and then it's going to be over 2 times 1. We're going to set that equal to x. Don't forget to do that. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to simplify what's inside the square root right here. So it's going to be x is equal to negative 5 plus or minus is, what's 5 squared? 5 squared is just 25. And then negative 4 times 1 times 6, which is negative 24. So it's going to be 25 minus 24 inside the parentheses. And then simply add on the denominator, it's going to be 2. Because 2 times 1 is 2. So I got that so far. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify this even further. So it's going to be x is equal to negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 24, which is just the square root of 1 over 2. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify this again, which x is equal to negative 5 plus or minus. Now the square root of 1 is just going to be 1, so it's going to be plus or minus 1 over 2. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the plus or minus for the x values, the possible solutions, because there's two possible solutions for a quadratic equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the plus sign. So it's going to be x is equal to negative 5 plus 1 over 2. So negative 5 plus 1 is going to be negative 4 over 2. Therefore, one of the possible values of x is equal to negative 2. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the minus sign here on the bottom. So it's going to be x is equal to negative 5 minus 1 over 2, which is equal to, and then negative 5 minus 1, which is negative 6 over 2. Therefore, x, another value of x, is equal to negative 3. So the two possible values of x is negative 2 and negative 3 in this example. Alright, last example, and this is just for the sake of practice. Alright, use the quadratic formula to find the values of x for this problem. 2x squared minus x minus 6. Alright, what am I going to do here? So I'm going to use that formula. Remember, x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, alright, over 2a. Using this formula, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the a, the b, and the c values. A is the leading coefficient, b is x, and then c is the constant. Alright, so what I'm going to do is notice how we have a negative b. So that means the negative, since it's negative x, is going to turn out to be positive 1. And the reason is because the negative times negative is a positive, so it's going to be positive 1. So x is equal to positive 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared, which is b, minus 4 times 2, which is a, and then times c, which is negative 6. Alright, and then it's going to be over 2 times 2. Alright, So now I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify what's inside the square root. It says x is equal to 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared minus, or plus actually, 48. So it's the square root of 49 over 2 times 2, which is 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the square root of 49, which is just 7. So x is equal to 1 plus or minus 7 over 4. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to deploy the plus or minus sign here to get the two possible values of x. So x, I'm going to set 1 plus 7 over 4, which 1 plus 7 is 8 over 4, which is just 2. So one of the possible values of x is positive 2. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to deploy the other one, which is a negative. So 1 minus 7 over 4. So 1 minus 7 is negative 6 over 4. Therefore, you can reduce this, and x is equal to negative 3 over 2. And that's the other possible value of x.